Instead of getting into specific details and exactly what to do in order to capture a digital twin for a specific vertical or use case, I want to take a step outside the vertical and use case and talk more about high-level, generic techniques that you'll want to always keep in mind throughout the capture process. And this way, you'll be able to capture a proper digital twin for any use case. So with that in mind, the number one most important thing that you really need to keep in mind throughout the entire capture process is the navigation experience, meaning the paths taken by your visitors through the digital twin as they move around. Ideally, these paths through the property are as natural as possible and provide the visitor the ability to see everything they need to see in order to do whatever they need to do. So for example, if we're talking about a promote use case and you want to show the property to a prospect, whether it is commercial or residential real estate, really doesn't matter. You want to make sure that your path of scans through the property moves in such a way that the visitor experiences it as though they were actually at the property on site. This means having a scan position at every intersection, in front of every door into another room, and in front of assets they might be interested in seeing. And likewise, if your use case is for insurance and the digital twin will be used by an adjuster to get a more accurate estimate for their clients, then you need to have the camera positioned in such a way that allows the adjuster to walk through as they would if they were on site and see everything they would need to see in order to make the most accurate estimate possible. So now that you've got navigation as a top criteria as you're scanning the property, you also want to think about completely fleshing out the 3D model. Meaning if you have anything obstructing the camera's view, like a kitchen island, a couch, any furniture, you'll want to scan your way around to the opposite side of that object so that you can see all the way around it, certainly if possible. If it's not possible, then there's really not much you can do. But if you can get to the other side, even if it means adjusting the height of the camera lower or higher in order to fully flesh out whatever is on the other side of those objects, then go ahead and do that. If you do end up with scan positions that you don't need, it's really not a big deal. If you are using this for promote use case, you can always hide those scan positions. And if you're using the digital twin for an operate use case, like the insurance example I just gave, then you can just keep them and don't even worry about hiding them. The reason why it's so important to capture as much data as possible is because post-processing tools such as tags, notes, and measurements require the 3D data in order to be used. So now you're thinking about the navigation experience of your visitors and fully fleshing out the complete 3D model. You also want to think about camera height. This kind of goes back to the navigation experience, but depending on the use case that you're capturing for, the camera can be adjusted to different heights. For example, I find that with promote use cases, to have your lens set to about 4.5 feet is really good because not only does the digital twin end up looking very natural and really nice, you can also use any of those scan positions to capture 2D snapshots in order to be used in your marketing material. Now, if you were to take the insurance example or any other operate use case, then you can set the camera to any height that makes sense for your use case. Setting the camera much higher to see into the upper cabinets in the kitchen and then lower to see into those lower cabinets in the kitchen is really important for the adjuster. So for that use case, you'll definitely want to include those scans at different heights. Likewise, if you're scanning a data center, for example, and you've got racks of servers from floor to ceiling, you'll want to scan those accordingly as well. So you'll probably have the camera height lower to see anything down below. You'll have a mid height, and then you'll have the camera set higher as well so that your visitor can see the server from the best angle possible, again, as though they're actually there. And finally, you want to maximize the ROI of your digital twin. As long as you're already spending the time to capture a proper digital twin, you may as well get the most bang for your buck. And what I mean by that is, how are those other teams going to need to navigate through the property and what sort of assets are they going to need to see? So while this is probably not something that you're going to know and be able to do the first time you go out and scan for your organization, but as the digital twin gets used throughout your organization by different teams and departments, you'll definitely be able to understand what other departments need to see as part of the digital twin, and future models will be captured accordingly.